Hi, I'm George, the Weather Dad, and it's time to take a look at your upcoming weekend. And the Thanksgiving forecast is coming a little bit into focus. It's going to be cold, I'm afraid, for a lot of us, but for the most part, I think traveling won't be too bad. But we'll get into that here in a second. But first, here comes your weekend. Now, Friday temperatures, not going to be too bad. We're looking at temperatures about normal right here in the Ohio Valley. It's going to maybe a little bit below normal because it's going to be very, very wet right here across most of the Midwest, especially the Ohio Valley. Still warm across the southeast. As we head on into your Saturday, it's not going to be too bad. We're looking at temperatures pretty close to normal, lower 50s now for the afternoon highs. So it's not going to be that bad there on your Friday. Still nice across the southeast. So if you're heading down that way for Thanksgiving, you're going to be in pretty good shape, I think, for the most part. Sunday, well, again, we warm up a little bit, so we're starting to see temperatures rebound just ahead of the next system, and you see a couple of L's there, and that will cause some problems probably on Monday and Tuesday for a good portion of the country, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then let's jump right on into your Wednesday. This is the biggest travel day of the season, and you see a kind of a east to southwest line of green. That's the next frontal system that's going to be pushing its way in. That's going to bring in all this cold air you see up to the north down into the Midwest and even down all the way into the southeast. So that's the next system we have to keep an eye on. And then for Thanksgiving itself, it's going to be chilly, but I think it's going to be fairly dry. But look at all the cold air up towards the northern tier of states. And also notice how far south that front gets. Florida looks like you might be at least the southern half of Florida might be the only real place where we're going to see some really nice warm weather across the continental United States on Thanksgiving. Precipitation, as I said, Friday, look at, here comes the next system. We could be looking at another inch or two of rain right here in the Ohio Valley, maybe even points a little bit heavier than that, especially if you get a thunderstorm or two. But you can see the west to east orientation of the precipitation. This is on a midday on Friday. Saturday, that pushes off towards the east, mid-Atlantic, and it moves off pretty quickly. This is going to be midday on Saturday, so we'll be seeing some drying out. Notice a little bit of precipitation down into the southwest. As we head on into Sunday, that energy starts pushing its way into the central U.S. It's going to be dry right here in the Midwest. It's going to be cold again up to the north. The Pacific Northwest looks like you're going to get hit as well. Now, let's jump right on into your Wednesday. This is the busiest travel day of the season again. Notice this is the northeast, southwest orientation of that cold air. That's where the precipitation also going to be. But look at the mess pushing off towards the east. So there could be some flight delays if you're heading east, a little bit south, and up towards the northwest. So if you're thinking about traveling, and also notice the snow up towards the north. So if you're driving up in that way area, that's going to be a problem. And we will be looking at some lake effect snows up in Michigan and possibly eventually up in northeast rather, Ohio, and up in upstate New York and up in Pennsylvania as well. But you can kind of see again, if you're heading in this direction, you're going to be possibly seeing some flight delays. On Thanksgiving Day itself, it's not going to be too bad. We're going to see some snow up in the Rockies, drying out across most of the continental United States. There's that lake effect snow up around up in Michigan and the places where, again, you would normally find that lake effect snow. So the bottom line is, this weekend's not going to be too bad, especially on Sunday if you're thinking about putting up those Christmas lights. And then for travel purposes, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday especially aren't going to be all that great, especially if you're flying. If you're flying west on Monday and Tuesday, that's where you can see some delays. Flying east, that's on Wednesday, as possibly even on Thanksgiving Day itself. I'll be back on Monday with another look at your Thanksgiving Day forecast. Until then, I'm George, the Weather Dad.